I feel like we're talking about director's cuts a lot recently. So obviously Zack Snyder, he has his Snyder cut of Justice League, and then Rebel Moon. Then we have Ridley Scott. He's doing his 3.5 hour long director's cut of Napoleon. And there's also another director's cut that I feel like not a whole lot of people are talking about, and that's David Ayer's Suicide Squad cut. In case you didn't know, just to summarize the whole history with that, David Ayer originally had like his own idea for Suicide Squad, but then Batman v Superman happened. That didn't go over very well. So then the studio went in and recut the movie, especially after the trailers, which was like a lot more lighthearted than what the actual movie was. They had some people go over, re-edit the entire movie to make it fit more like the trailers. And you wanna know what happened with it? Ended up being one of the worst comic book movies ever made. I still say that Suicide Squad is legitimately like one of the worst superhero movies ever created. And so it does make a lot of people wonder, including me also, of wondering what the Ayer cut looked like. And however much I'm interested in what this cut would look like, it's not going to happen. It's never going to be released. We're never going to see what David Ayer's true vision of this movie was. But he has been very vocal, specifically online, about it. Ever since the Snyder Cut really started getting big on Twitter, he's been trying to get the release the Ayer Cut. That hasn't really been getting as much attraction as opposed to the Snyder Cut, and it really isn't going to be getting a lot of traction. But I mean, he's trying his best, and actually, he just released a new image, showing right here, of his own poster that I don't know if he designed it or what happened, of the Ayer Cut, and he's trying to get that whole thing lit up again because he's trying to. I think really with the Rebel Moon director's cuts, he's kind of trying to use that momentum to boost the Ayer Cut. And I admire how hard he's trying to get this movie to be made. However, let's be honest, it's never going to be made. Look, it was a miracle that the Snyder Cut was even made to begin with. I never thought that we'd actually see it. I didn't think that we would actually have a day where the Snyder Cut was released. And guess what? They eventually released it and it got out to the world. But that was a miracle. The fact that that was actually made is still shocking to this day, and arguably a very stupid decision by Warner Brothers themselves, because they invested what, like $70 million into the Snyder Cut to be fully made, and what money they get out of it? They put it out on HBO Max, and that's it. It didn't make them any money. It lost them a lot of money, in fact, and it was probably one of the big reasons for why Warner Brothers was eventually bought out. And the new owner, I mean, he's very much of the mindset that like he's not going to waste a single dollar on anything that he doesn't fully believe. And let's be honest, do you really think that he believes that the Ayer Cut would actually be a huge success? Let's just look at the last movie, The Suicide Squad by James Gunn. That massively tanked at the box office. And I mean, granted, that was an R-rated cut. Most likely, I mean, I don't know if the original Suicide Squad was going to be rated R, but like, even still, like, I really don't know how bankable the Suicide Squad name is anymore. And the idea of them greenlighting this own specific cut just for, I don't know, like what they're going to put on Max, like are they actually going to re-release it in theaters? And also just the memory of what that movie was. I mean, I don't know why anyone would even be interested. But also, you got to think about that was the DCEU. We're done with that. We're in the DCU now. Like, there's a whole different type of universe. It's the same argument for why the Snyderverse is never going to be made. They're not going to go back and retread old territory just to finish off the series. They're not going to go back to the original Suicide Squad movie and just try to remake that and do that all over again. Even though they are far past the DCU and they're fully set and determined to be in the DCU. There's no reason for them to be doing it. Like, I get that it would be cool to see what the original cut would have looked like, but let's be honest, like, they're never going to be doing it. At least with the Snyder Cut, they were still in that phase of the DCEU. So it was more of like, we were still in that universe at that time, just seeing a different version of that movie. But with the DCU, I mean, especially with like Superman coming out and the new Batman, Green Lantern movies, they're fully invested now in the DCU. They're not going to be going all the way back then and trying to re-edit and put back the original cut of Suicide Squad. There's just no reason to. And I get that David Ayer really was in love with this movie and he really wants it to be made, and it hurts him seeing what they ended up making with the movie. And I fully understand it. I fully understand why he's trying to get this cut. And I know how hard it must be to just give up. But you got to move on. You can't be focusing on your own version of Suicide Squad for the rest of your career, because then that's the only thing you're ever going to be obsessed with. It's like Jake Gyllenhaal in Zodiac, where you're going to be obsessing over this thing that you know is there for the rest of your life, and yet you just can't get it done. You're never going to be able to get this movie out and made, and it's hard. I understand it's hard, but you just gotta accept it. Also, I would just like to point out, I really think he thinks the original cut of the movie is a lot better than it actually is, because there's a quote of him saying that his director's cut will change the course of history. This is David Ayer we're talking about. He doesn't have the greatest track record of movies. I'm not saying he's a bad director. He's made some good movies. However, he's made some really bad movies as well. Some really, really bad movies. And so I'm not saying that this movie couldn't have been great. But realistically, let's look at his entire filmography and let's think, is this going to be the greatest comic book movie ever made, like what he's trying to make it out to be? No, it's not going to be that perfect movie that he thinks it is. I think it's just time to move on. Let's just continue off from this. It's not getting traction like he's hoping it is. A lot of the Snyder Cut fans are not going to be as interested. That's just a toxic cesspool of fandom that nobody wants and nobody likes, and I think he's better off not being involved with those people and just moving on with his career and doing, because I mean, like Beekeeper, his last movie he did, that was decently successful. Like, he can still make some, I haven't seen the movie yet, but like I know that like a lot of people thought it was better than what the movie actually looked like. And so I mean, just keep on doing those movies. Just move on from the Suicide Squad. Just, it's gone. It's over with. It's done with. There's nothing you can do. It's time to just continue your career. But I mean, what do you think of the whole situation? I mean, do you agree with me, disagree with me? I mean, tell me what you think down in the comments. I mean, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, share if you want. And yeah, I mean, that's all I have to say. I mean, if you've made it this far, I mean, thank you for watching so much of the video. I really appreciate it. That's really all I have to say, though. So yeah, until next time, it's Movie Talk. See ya.